I want to call this special called meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'll ask y'all to join me in a prayer, and then we'll have a pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, we do come before you today to thank you for this day that you've given us. And Lord, we just thank you for watching over us and taking care of us during this cold weather spell. Lord, we thank you for this new year. And Lord, we just pray that we'll do the things that's right and pleasing in your sight in this community as we go through this year, as we go through this meeting. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, as y'all are well aware, our meeting was postponed. Our regular meeting from Tuesday becomes a special called meeting today. The agenda has not changed, but and the difference is, as we give reports and such, if it's not something listed on the agenda to transact a vote or business, we're not able to do that. And the county attorney had district court all day and was not able to be here today. Today we have a guest with us that's going to start off, Ms. Monica Miles with Small Business Administration, Public Affairs Specialist, is going to share some information about small business activity. Monica, we're glad to have you with us today.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for
You're doing speeches first.
So again, my name is Monica Miles. I'm a Public Affairs Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. And the SBA wants to make sure that the businesses and nonprofits in Simpson County are aware that if they suffered an economic injury as a result of the disaster that occurred in Tennessee back on December 9th, 2023, then they may be eligible to apply for a low interest rate economic injury disaster loan from the U.S. Small Business Administration as a result. So an economic injury disaster loan doesn't require any kind of physical damage to the business property at all. It's when the business had anticipated receiving certain amounts of revenue, but as a result of the disaster, the business believes that it has had a drop in their revenue and is unable to pay its regular and ordinary bills, and it's a direct result of the disaster. For instance, the utilities may have been cut off as a result of the storm and the tornadoes that occurred back on December 9th. Their customers may have customers in Tennessee or in Kentucky or other parts that ended up terminating their contract or having come into their stores because they're affected by the disaster. Roads might have been closed. Suppliers may not have been able to get some of their purchases to the businesses and things of that matter. Their workforce may have been affected by the disaster and they haven't been able to come into work. Same with the customers, not being able to come into stores or to continue to contract business. They may have canceled some contracts. Various things could happen that could cause the business in Simpson County or the nonprofit in Simpson County to lose the revenue that they had expected. And as a result of the disaster, they're not able to pay their ordinary necessary bills. And in addition, they could have had some physical damage to their business as well. However, the loan is not based upon repairing that particular physical damage. It's just based upon helping the business be able to pay its regular bills or the nonprofit to pay its regular bills so that it can stay in business and not end up closing. There was a study that FEMA had cited that after a disaster, about 40% of businesses never reopen. And so the SBA is included in this whole disaster process in an effort to try to stop things of that nature from happening so that businesses and nonprofits can continue to operate even if they're affected by a disaster occurring. Now, so in Simpson County, the deadline to apply for this economic injury loan isn't until September 13th, 2024. That's because the law is written so that the SBA has a long period of time in order to accept applications for this type of loan, because it doesn't always happen immediately. Sometimes it does, especially if a business is closed for a period of time due to roads or lack of utilities or physical damage to the business. It can, they know of that loss of revenue very quickly sometimes. But again, businesses and nonprofits do have up until September 13th of this year in which to apply. The SBA's rules and regulations now have improved over the time, and the business can, for the first year of the business loan, the economic injury to disaster loan, there's no requirement to repay any amount of the loan during that period of time. In addition, during the first year, the interest does not accrue for a period of 1 year as well. So this gives the applicant more time in order to adjust economically, in particular, as a result of the disaster. There's no application fee to apply for the loan. A business does not have to wait for its insurance claim to be settled before applying for the loan as well. Some businesses have business interruption insurance, and if they want to go ahead and apply for an SBA loan now, because it might take the insurance company some months in order to come up with a decision on their claim, they can go ahead and do that. When they do get the insurance funds, then they do pay that back to the SBA. SBA asks for those funds to be repaid sooner rather than later, because the SBA doesn't duplicate insurance proceeds and certain other government proceeds that the business or the nonprofit may have obtained. The loan rates are low. For a nonprofit organization, the interest rate is 3.25%, and for a business, it's 4%. Typically, the loan term is up to 30 years as well. If a business or a nonprofit wants to pay off the loan sooner than that, they can do so. There's no penalty or anything of that nature. The business can apply for the loan by going to online at sba.gov/disaster. If they need any assistance, they can call the SBA at 1-800-659-2955, and if they're hearing impaired, they can call the SBA at 711, and they will be connected so that they can have their questions and information answered. The SBA tries to process the loans very quickly. Once all of the paperwork is submitted by the applicant, usually the SBA provides a decision on the loan within 5 days. Once if the applicant decides to go forward with the loan process, then the SBA usually has the SBA does it, funnels the money to the person within about 5 days after all of their paperwork, loan papers are completed. The SBA takes between 2 to 3 weeks sometimes to be able to process the loan once all the documentation is in. But once everything is in, including the signed loan forms, it's about 5 business days when they get the first draw on the funds. And the first draw is usually up to $25,000. And so in addition to being able to call the SBA, since Tennessee is the state that where that particular disaster was declared, there are temporary sites throughout Tennessee in which somebody from Kentucky could also go to apply if they want to apply in person. And when they apply in person, the SBA worker enters the information in the computer for them and will tell them what additional paperwork, if any, they may need. Now, SBA does sometimes ask businesses and nonprofits for additional paperwork, If the business or nonprofit is not familiar with that kind of paperwork, the SBA does have partners located in every state throughout the whole year, regardless of disaster or not a disaster. This is just part of the agency's effort to help businesses to become established as a business as well as to thrive. And businesses would be able to go to one of those partners. Is one, it's called the Small Business Development Center. The closest one I believe here is in Bowling Green. And they can get free assistance from the Small Business Development Center in terms of completing its application to apply for a loan, looking for other sources to apply for a loan, looking to do business with the federal government and marketing information and other just business information. But the Small Business Development Center can help a business as well. The SBA is available, of course, again, throughout the year in every state to help businesses. So we just hope that if there are any businesses or nonprofits located in Simpson County that believe that they may have sustained an economic injury disaster as a result of the tornadoes back on December 9th of 2023, that they apply for a low interest rate loan with the U.S. Small Business Administration, because again, our goal is to keep businesses and to help the nonprofits remain in operating. Thank you.
All right. Monica, thank you. Gentlemen, do y'all have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that information. We'll have this is all being, you see the cameras, it's all being broadcast live, so, and then it'll be shared some, so maybe the folks in this area will get to hear the message a little more, and if they need something, they can reach out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, gentlemen, moving on into business. And Monica, you're very welcome to stay. You'll get a lot of entertainment if you stay with us, but you don't, if you have other business you need to tend to, you won't offend us by leaving. So it's entirely up to you. But yeah. Yeah. You can always go back and view it and see how much fun. If you leave, you'll say, gosh, I should have stayed. I missed all this fun. Yeah. All right, moving on into the regular business, we have with us today Ms. Jada Freeman. She's going to present the sheriff's fee, oil, and LSG settlements.
This is like a PPP loan,
Good morning, Jada.
but you don't forgive this one, I don't think.
Before I get into those, I want to give a quick update on our current taxes. We signed for over 18 million back in the end of September. We are over 17 million paid, leaving us at 94% collected, which shows us about right on schedule to end in April, close to 98-ish, a little over that. So that's a good thing.
Good day.
Your LSG, you should have forms on your portals.
Yeah.
The LSG, we had 2 bills, and both of those were turned over to Austin's office as delinquent. They did not get collected. That was roughly $3,800 that did not get collected. Bills were sent out. The state, this time, and it's happened once before, the state was behind on getting those bills out, so we have a combination of 21 and 22 bills for oil and LSG. The state, to my understanding, is very understaffed, and so that's kind of a taxing area for them to get all that information together. So it happens from time to time that we'll get 2 years in one. We did have to separate our settlement for these because they were totally off schedule from the 22 taxes. So we closed these out in November. The oil bills, we did collect 100%. We only had maybe 10 bills total. That's between the 2 years. They did get collected and dispersed to all the districts. So that was a good thing. We do have the 23 bills set to be delivered electronically on Monday. Once I get those, they will be mailed out the same day.
Oil, what are the oil bills?
I'm pretty sure you get double taxed.
What?
Because you pay property tax where the oil's at, where the oil well's at.
Oh, so this is on oil
These are
wells.
oil
You
wells.
pay income
Okay.
tax on all that you produce, and then they send you another tax for the oil that you sell. So I'm
you're
almost certain you're getting double taxed somehow or another.
Yeah, but you're getting rich by pumping all
Yeah.
that oil.
Yeah.
That's a lot of oil.
I didn't know we had that many more oil wells people doing it in Simpson County still.
Few.
There's a few. There's a
All
few.
right.
So they're really small because there's very few bills on those. But moving on into fees, you'll see the long spreadsheet I broke down each month for you to show you what was turned over each month to fiscal court. In the lower right side, you'll see we turned over $1,012,995 to fiscal court for the year of 2023. All of these settlements are pending 2 audits from the state and from the local government offices. So I'm just asking fiscal court to accept these pending audits for all of them.
All right, gentlemen, we need a motion and a second to accept the sheriff's fees, oil and LSG settlements pending audit.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Meyer. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Jada.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Next is the minutes of our January 3rd special called fiscal court meeting. We need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion on those? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, gentlemen, you'll see on the portal a letter of support for Metalco's KBI application. Basically, all this letter says is that we do support their application that they submitted to the state. The state is who approves those KBIs, and we're just committed to the 1%. But there is a split equalization between the city and the county, and I think that currently of the 1% that has to be paid, the county pays 3/4 of it, and the city pays 1/4 of it until they equalize, and then we'll do those on 50-50 basis. I don't know how close we are to that equalization, but I'd say we still have a few $1,000s to go.
Agree.
But at any rate, we just need a motion and a second to send this letter to Secretary Knoll in support of Metalco's operations here.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty?
Second.
Is that Scott? Second by Scott. Any other, any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is, we would need to adopt a resolution that would be resolution number 2024-01-16 EDF. This is for an economic development application for the Henderson Park expansion, better known as the Brown property. And the purchase price of that property is approximately $1.1 million. And what this would enable us to do is the TVA has a grant program that if we support this activity of the industrial authority, the TVA will cover 50% of the cost of this piece of property.
So who's on the hook for the rest?
Well, the industrial authority is, but the industrial authority can't authorize the resolution to participate in the grant process.
Okay,
Because, am I right, Nicole, that all that grant money just flows through us? When we get these TVA grants, the money comes here and then goes back out to the industrial authority.
I mean, the TVA stuff that goes to the industrial authority doesn't even come here, but I do believe that we,
Have to.
a lot of the things with the industrial authority, we kind of have to be that third party to make it all work out.
so has this piece of property been annexed in the city yet?
Not to my knowledge.
And is it zoned agriculture, or was it, I mean, I haven't seen any
I'm
requests,
pretty sure it's zoned ag.
I haven't seen any public hearings concerning
Yep.
rezone or annexations. That's what I was asking.
course, you're aware, I mean, it all connects to the property in the Henderson
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, I said it goes all the way out on Gold City Road, that piece of property.
Mm,
And they're kind of like I don't know how long, but there's
Does
a
the
strip
brown-
of,
does the
there's a
brown
strip of
property go to
ground that
Gold
goes
City
out of
Road?
Gold City.
There's a 100-foot strip that goes out to Gold City Road, but the industrial board said they were going to, one of the things they were going to look at is maybe selling to the existing landowners because they really won't need access on
Access.
Gold
Yeah.
City Road.
Well,
But you can't sell a piece of property without road frontage.
I'm just
But
asking
But they won't
questions.
need any road frontage on Gold City Road.
right.
So, far as the zone of I-2, of course, they'll have to request that, but wouldn't it not have to be into the city limits for an I-2? I mean, it seems like we're getting the cart in front of the horse on this right here, to a degree.
I'm not sure about that
I
because.
mean, I don't know, I'm just asking questions this
Yeah.
morning.
We rezoned some industrial property out here on,
Morgantown Road.
Morgantown Road that wasn't in the city limits. It does not have to be in the city limits to be an I-2 zone. And the industrial authority would have to be in ownership of the property to request a zone change. You can't get a zone change for property you don't own, correct? So
So the owner now would have to request.
yeah, the first step's gonna have to be the industrial authority, which the industrial board has agreed to make this purchase. So basically, we have to, as a governing body, do this resolution so we can participate in the TVA grant program, which is gonna cover half the cost of it. So it's kind of one of those situations, if we sit here today and say, well, we're not gonna do this resolution, then the industrial authority is going to miss out on basically $550,000 from the TVA's help
Well,
in purchasing the property.
I guess it's not a beef on my end, but just some questions is that going through this right here, we eliminate public hearings. I mean, this piece of property is backing up to some residential property.
Yeah,
So-
all we'll be approving today was a resolution to participate in the TVA grant program. The industrial authority will then buy the piece of property, but this gives the ability for half of that purchase price to be covered by the TVA.
So can industrial
but-
park be in the county, or does the industrial park have to be into the city limits?
No. No. it's not a
Okay, so, I
requirement.
mean, so there's sewer on this property? On this, okay. Oh, okay, okay.
Sewer
It's available.
availability.
And so the other half of the 1.1 million be 550,000. So that would be added on to the debt that the industrial board already owes
Be no debt, it's free grant money.
The industrial.
for the
board-
half of it. Grant would just
industrial
pay
board.
for the half of it.
Yeah.
The other half would
money to pay
be
for it.
added on to the industrial
The
board.
industrial authority has the money to cover it. See, there's something very misleading, and this is why we need to have this meeting. There's something very misleading about the letter that the city sent out. The industrial authority does not have this copious amount of unsecured debt. We're going to have together, so all of y'all can see this, a list of all properties the industrial authority owns, how much is owed on those properties, and who the lessee is in each of these properties. In fact, they have lessees in some pieces of property that it would actually be detrimental to the industrial authority to pay it off because they're actually making money on the lease payment while they're making the payment on the piece of property. So I'm hopeful, and I'll explain some of this in my report later, but I'm hopeful that we have a meeting so we can actually clarify some of the misleading information in that letter.
Well, it would be helpful even making decisions like this if you had all that information prior.
Well, first off, this purchase here, the industrial authority has the money to pay their half of this without any issues, without borrowing any money. The TVA will grant the other half of the money, which is a pure grant. It's not a loan type grant.
It's not adding any debt. The only thing, I know this property was 1.1 and it's supposed to, they're gonna pay the 550.
but the numbers that are in here are the 3.5 and 1.75. So does that include the other property in this?
No, I think, Marty, what they're talking about there is the economic impact would be if you're able to secure this piece of property.
Okay.
And you do develop it, and you're able to sell tracts off, this is the economic impact that it would
Okay.
bring if you're selling
Yeah,
the
that's the
property.
kind of way I took that, the impact there.
Yeah. But all of it's mute if you don't buy it.
I move to approve.
All right, so we got a motion to approve adopting resolution number 2024-01-16 EDF. And as part of that motion to authorize the judge to sign that resolution?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion, we have a second. I'll second it. All right, so motion and a second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed?
No,
No,
We'll have a roll call on that.
no.
No? Wow.
So y'all don't want free money?
It's a little bit more than just free money, Marty. I mean, we got industrial, just keep moving. And I don't have any answers to where industrial park needs to be. That part I don't have. But I don't know about the other court members. I get calls regular basis on industrial parks moving closer and closer to their houses that they've built out here in the country. And I can't ignore that. We got to have growth. I first admit that. But I can't ignore requests from taxpayers that are based. Now, you lived in the city of Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
You moved out in the country.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't move out in the country because of industrial growth.
You had your reasons why you moved out in the country.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't ignore these things when you get these calls. Now, we have to have growth, economic growth. We got to have that. But
Well, I want to make sure all of y'all do understand something.
I understand completely.
No, this part here. I want to make sure y'all all do understand this. The industrial authority will purchase this piece of property. But now we will not get half of it covered.
That's their, yeah, I understand that completely, Mason, yeah.
All right.
No, it's
Well,
not,
that motion
it's
fails.
not a funny matter, I understand completely.
No, I know it's
I mean,
not.
you're chuckling over here, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. No, I don't think it's funny at all. I think that there are a lot of misconceptions, and rather than coming and sitting down and talking with me or someone on the industrial authority, y'all follow these misconceptions.
I'm not following any misconception, Mason.
if you-
I got opinion just like you've got.
Well-
I respect your opinion, I don't necessarily agree sometimes, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And I expect the same thing.
Yeah.
That's it, it's not a misconception.
Well,
I mean, I was on the industrial board.
If you believe that the industrial board has so much debt that they can't make their way, that is an absolute misconception.
I never said that, you did, I
No.
didn't say that. I
Jeffrey's
did
the one
not
that
say
brought up the
that.
debt.
Pardon me?
Jeffrey was who brought up the debt.
Right.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. Y'all
That's
voted
true,
against
that's
getting the
true,
money,
that's
and the
true.
industrial authority of buying it just cost the industrial authority $500,000.
Because they can, yeah.
All right. Next, gentlemen, we had a request to look at some changes to the accrued leave policy. And so you see on the portal what our current accrued leave is, and the request was so that as we're hiring people, especially in hazardous duty employment, that rather than them start at ground zero, they could start accruing leave based on the time that they served in the same job. So I listed the accrued leave policy currently in the administrative code. I think basically we have two options, which option number one, I guess, is pretty simple. You just don't do anything. Or option number two is that we would allow individuals being hired as hazardous duty employees by the county to begin immediately accruing leave time based on the length of service in their former job, This would only apply to new hazardous duty employees who are leaving their current employment in the same line of duty or job description to begin employment with the county. The new hazardous duty employee would have to provide proper verification from their former employer or of position held and time served. So this would only apply to hazardous duty employees, and the employee being hired would have to be immediately leaving the same job coming to Simpson County to work.
So if a deputy sheriff from another county wanted to come to Simpson County and they'd been there for 10 years, they would have the same amount of accrued leave as they had, as if they'd been here for 10 years?
No, their accrued leave wouldn't transfer with them. They would have zero accrued leave when they started, but if they were there 10 years, which would be the 120 months on average, they would start accruing leave per pay period to where they could accumulate up to 208 hours each year rather than at zero at 104.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Their accrued leave from another county wouldn't come, but they would be getting the same rate as somebody, as if they had been here for 10 years.
Yes,
Okay.
but that's only if they left that job. So let's say the same situation where you had a POP certified deputy that had worked somewhere 10 years, and they left and went to a factory and worked for a year. And then they said, well, we want to get back in law enforcement, and they apply here. They would still start at zero here because they wouldn't be leaving a law enforcement job to come to one. They'd be leaving a factory job to come to one.
But just say maybe public works. I mean.
This would just apply to
Yes,
hazardous
okay.
duty employees.
So like if a state trooper, he hires them retired, right? A lot of them out of retirement. And they've been there 20-some years,
Mm-mm,
they
no.
come here, they're gonna start accruing.
No. So it'd be, you have to be actively employed in that line of work and come here. If you were employed in that line of work, then you retired, you would actually be leaving retirement to come to work, not leaving
So
employment.
if he hires one that's a state trooper that's leaving state trooper just to come here, but not retired
Yeah,
state trooper.
if they came straight from the line of work to this line of work, they would start accruing at the amount of time.
That they was there.
But if they retired and then come to work, they would start at year zero like everyone else. Yes, sir?
Judge, there are,
And Sheriff, I didn't mean this was had anything to do with your department. I was just using
no,
your department.
that's fine, but one of the biggest cost savings we do have, and it's harder and harder and more rare to find them, are the retired officers to bring back. There is a requirement when I bring those officers back to have a break in service between that. So be careful when you say, because what you're going to do is leave out the people we should be trying to get. You're correct. If you worked at Logan County and you were going to leave outside of giving them a 2-week notice and maybe there being a couple of weeks off before you start your new job, that would be fine. But don't knock the retirement people off, because I can't hire you and start you. You have to lay out 90 days at least, and it may be, I'd have to check the regulations now. It used to be 90 days, even if you didn't have another job. And during that 90 days, might you go do something while you're just waiting to go back to work? Yeah.
Well, the problem though with the administrative code, Sheriff, and I agree with you, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but the problem with the administrative code is it's pretty black and white. There's not a lot of like gray area. So if we adopt it into the administrative code, that's just what we have to go by. So retirement could be that period you're talking about where I have to be retired for a certain amount of time before I can go employed. You could be retired for 3 years and decide I want to go back to work. So we've got to be careful with that too. How do you put that together?
Right.
You know, how do you address it?
So do you think this is I mean, I don't know that we need to mess with administrative code. I think we probably need to look more at hiring people, just more money. And that will be a better, I mean, we're going to have to look at that on budget time. I mean, as you said the last time, to retain the
Yes.
people that you have.
The two things Simpson County needs to be aware of and be preparing for is, one, keeping what you got, and you're going to lose what you got if your pay doesn't come up, and preparing for the future. What's going to bring other people, because as we get bigger, I mean, Eric and them are here from the jail, there's going to be more people trying to come to the jail, but because we're arrested more. Our calls for service are increasing. Where I used to say we were a 16-man agency, we are 16, we're like 15, 16 counting me right now, but we're falling behind. We need 17 people, and in this next year, we're a year out, but we should get up to 17. But be prepared. The year after that, we probably need to be up to 18. It won't go on forever, but you've got to think a year out is what you've got to do. I think you could do both. It's not going to hit that many people in hazardous duty that's a good little nugget there. But if you work somewhere else, for instance, Chad Moody works for us now. Chad's doing a fine job. He'd worked at the PD, but he was off for a year or two before he did. So Chad won't get this. Now, I treat him as if he's a certain person that's got 10 years service, and I should. But he wouldn't get this. And that's okay. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. That's for y'all. The only one that concerned me, and I'm glad Jeff brought it up because I wasn't thinking about it, are the retirees, because you can't retire and immediately come to work at the sheriff's office. That's not.
Well, I understand.
So putting retired within a year, you came back.
See, I didn't know that, so that's why I didn't know if it was a leeway to stop.
It was a good question.
I just wanted to be sure that, somebody been in KSP for 20-some years, and then they come here and get accrued leave for.
Well, and it applies to all retired officers, and it's a good incentive, but when they retire, the KRS, they're one of the few that are allowed to come back to work at a police agency as long as there wasn't a prearranged agreement for them to retire and come to work for you. And we don't have to pay their health insurance, and we don't have to pay their retirement. Saves us thousands of dollars. So they're definitely worth getting.
What is the time frame?
That's where it's going to become a problem too, because they're not considered hazardous duty. We're not paying hazardous duty retirement on them, so you would have to change the language too with the whole hazardous duty thing.
So the retired officers that are employed are not hazardous duty employees?
Well, they're not in the retirement system anymore because they're already drawing retirement. I think they're actually considered, I've never used the word, I think they're considered a contract employee. And each year I fill out a form that I send Michelle that she keeps on file showing that they met the criteria that was set out. There's certain forms I had to get them eligible to hire so that we didn't have to pay health insurance and retirement on them. So you can do it any way you want to. That was a good question.
But it is a hazardous duty job description.
I mean, I guess it would be considered that, but I'm just bringing it up because we don't pay hazardous duty retirement on them.
Right. So Sheriff, what is the time frame? So like once you retire from KSP, what is that time frame before you're able to go back to work I
can't have a prearranged agreement, so I'm not really supposed to do interviews or have an arrangement for a job. That's kind of, you could talk to people, but we can't agree I'm gonna come to work for you. Once you're fully retired, you send a letter to the retirement and you say, hey, I'm interested in going to work at Simpson County Sheriff's Office. They'll send you back a response and say, basically they'll say, as long as you've met our eligibility requirements, you would be good to do that. At that point, I can meet with you, interview you, hire you, but you can't start, and that's part of what they want to know is when your start date is. I think it may be 90 days for non-hazardous employees. I think it's 30 days for hazardous, but it could be not. At one time, it was 6 months, so they change it. I'd have to actually look.
So if we tweak this to say that a retiree that has been retired for 12 months or less would work?
Yes. I can tell you a year would be good.
12 months or less.
Yes.
But if you're retired beyond 12 months, you look at it more, in my opinion, you're looking at it more like this guy retired, he wanted to be retired, but now he's changed his mind, he wants to come back to work.
Sometimes people just need a break, but yeah, they would still be a good recruitment, especially for like school resource officer or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
So you would take out the begin immediately to begin within 1 year.
I would say for retirees.
Yeah.
I would denote it where retirees that have retired in 12 months or less would still qualify for this
yes.
accrued leave.
And you could put something, if you wanted to get more particular, people that don't qualify for benefits, and that's going to be your retirees, because they're not getting the benefits that other people are. The only benefits they're getting are your days off, sick time. They're not getting the health insurance. They're not getting that's why we got to be careful on the retirement thing. Nicole's right. They're not in the retirement says act like they don't even exist. So on that report Michelle sends every month, they're not listed on it.
So I'm going to make sure that I'm clearly understanding here. Let's say you're a state trooper and you retire today. You turn in your retirement paperwork and this is Thursday and you're already planning Monday to go to work at Lowe's. You can go to work at Lowe's Monday, but you're only planning to go to work at Lowe's and work there for whatever time frame you have to work before you get back into law enforcement. Because you can't retire today and go work law enforcement Monday.
Correct.
Okay.
I can't come back into government. Maybe I don't want to be a policeman. Maybe I want to work at the county clerk's office or over to jail. I can't come back into government.
Any government type work.
Because I'm already getting retirement
for a period of time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So there's a period of time they put you on.
So as long as we address that as 12 months or less, we would still cover the state trooper
Yes.
retirees that would probably be.
And it's not only troopers, it's any agent. Maybe it's a retiree from Logan County, Allen, but yes, they all fall in the same retirement system, same rules.
But the jail or
Well, the fire department's hazardous duty,
Yeah,
so
right.
the only hazardous duty offices we have are fire department and sheriff's office. And not all sheriff's employees, and I'm not talking about just retirees, but like the administrative
Right.
staff at the sheriff are non-hazardous.
I would agree, kind of sort of what Scott was saying, this is a perk that we reward people for staying and working in Simpson County. I think we need to concentrate more on, and like we all agree, we're going to have to look at our pay schedules across the board. And I think we ought to leave as it is and concentrate more on the pay. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm good with any of it. The reason this is brought up, if y'all recall, we're trying to hire firefighters, and this was one of the requests that the chief brought, and
Yeah.
so he thought it would be beneficial, so I'm just laying that out there.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
The way I understood it, this wasn't going to impact that many people, but in certain instances, this could be a little perk that could cause a person to say, well, yeah, I'll go ahead, I'll work there, being I'm going to get my accrued leave.
Well, we all know a few things. We know, one, that a firefighter, like what the chief is saying now, and Nelson, can you hear me if you got earbuds in? So if I say something that's incorrect, let me know. I'm trying to recollect my conversation with the chief, and he's not here. That he's thinking at this point, it's very possible that all of our new hires are going to be completely new firefighters, and they're going to have to go to some type of training, and at the very best, you're going to see it here in just a minute on the thing, because we got the request for the temporary employees. But at the very best, it's going to be maybe mid-May or so before they're going to actually be ready to work. It's even a longer time period with the sheriff, sending people to the academy before they're ready to go on the road. So I think the chief's request and the thought here is let's say you've got someone working in Allen County or Logan County or whatever, but they live close to Simpson County, or maybe they live in Simpson County and they're working at the other places and they've been there for 5 or 6 years. if the pay is even close, but I'm gonna start losing accrued time if I come here, I'll just stay where I'm at. But if we get them and we don't have to send them to the academy, or we get the firefighter that we don't have to send to the, is it 9-week training? 13. So,
Hard decision. I mean, you want to, all departments are valuable, every one of them. And you want to, I like to make decisions that's kind of somewhat across the board. I understand what, Jerry Lee, I understand what you're saying, chief, fire chief, I understand that. But, and you're right, it's not going to be a big, huge economic thing, but on the flip side, I want to be fair to all other departments as well, and we're not going, this resolution won't affect other than the fire department and the sheriff's department.
yeah, that's.
And what's got me concerned about it, I know it ain't gonna affect a lot of people, but we've got some firefighters that's been here for several years, just say for 5 years, and if you got already drawn accrued leave, and you bring somebody in, say from Logan County, that's been at Logan County for 10, and they come here and jump out, and they start with their accrued leave for their 10, that guy that's been here for 5 is gonna say, hey, they done jumped over me, got more time, and they ain't even been here but starting day 1. You see what I'm getting at? I'm gonna quit. This ain't right for me. I've been here faithful,
Yeah,
That's what
maybe they wouldn't quit over it, but,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
Don't ever know. Don't ever know until,
That's true.
I just brought it up, the chief asked that we look at it, and this was the best that I could come up with to do what we needed to accomplish, especially with the departments that are hazardous duties, but hey.
I'm fine with it.
Well,
You add in what the sheriff was saying about
The 1 year.
the 1 year thing, but I don't know. I mean, it's wherever the other three.
I either need a motion one way or the other, or move on.
I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to do it, adding in the retirement clause for that the sheriff suggested.
I just hate to complicate the admins. You know what I mean? I mean, it just seems like it would be.
Believe me, it's plenty complicated.
I know. So, I mean,
All right, so we've got a motion. I'll make a second again, just so we can have a discussion and a vote.
I mean, I won't be a deal breaker on it. If y'all think it's a great thing, and we can get the wording right,
So we're on a motion and a second, so here's the discussion. Do you think, as far as hazardous duty employees at the sheriff's office, the fire department, could it be a beneficial tool in recruitment and hiring?
Absolutely, because I can now hire a person that has experience, has already gone through and has the knowledge he needs. I don't have to start at ground zero. Send this guy off for training for 13 weeks for us, 20-something for them. I'm getting a guy that already knows what they're doing, and it's better for Simpson.
So here's another question while we're having discussion to address Jeffrey's point. If, say, we hire a guy that's been a firefighter 10 years at a different fire station, comes here, on his first paycheck, he accrues the amount of leave, and you see how many hours it is, but I don't know how many hours that is per pay period, whatever.
The first one is 4, and then 6, and then 8.
Okay, so you're starting accruing 8 hours per pay period, and you've got someone that's only been with us now for 8 years, and they're accruing at 6 hours. Is that individual going to be ticked off that the new guy's accruing at 8 hours?
I can't speak for everybody, but it could happen to me. I've been here full-time, the shortest, and we bring somebody in with 10 years, they've got more experience, but They've also been doing it for 10 years.
They would immediately accrue leave at a higher rate than you personally are currently accruing. Does that upset you?
No, but I'm different, so I don't. Somebody is gonna get upset. No matter what you do, somebody's gonna get upset. It's just how people are, but.
But back to the biggest question is this a good, viable tool for recruiting or hiring employees?
We had 2 people from other departments that reach out to the chief that I know of, and we didn't think this was gonna happen, so they didn't apply.
Sheriff, is it a beneficial tool for the sheriff's office?
It's a good tool. I'm not gonna say we would get droves of people because of it. It might help you land somebody that you would. It would be, Myron, you know, the electrical business. You've been an electrician for 20 years and you're deciding you might change companies, and you come in and you go, hey, I'm getting 3 weeks off where I'm at. And I go, you're a new guy, man. You get half a week or a week. You're probably gonna say, no, my wife likes to go on vacation. Even though I've got all of this time in me to meet somebody, we'd be good on the pay.
Yeah, but.
And I think it's valuable. I don't think it's gonna, like I said, droves of people. Be valuable for them. It could help us, but yes.
Now, it says in there hazardous duty. And what about the other departments? I know.
Well, we focused on hazardous duty primarily because there's the ones that have weeks of training that you have to deal with, that you don't really get to start doing your job day one.
Very few places, Jerry, very few places out here in the public sector do you walk into a place and you bring your package with you, so to speak. That's rare in the public, in the private sector, excuse me. I don't know about the public sector.
Well, if you sit in some of these workforce development meetings and stuff, I think what you're saying is correct in like used to be. I think there are a lot of companies that are saying, hey, if you're willing to work and you're a good worker, we're going to take you and work with you.
But typically, you don't reward somebody until you know how they're going to perform. You're right, we don't even know.
I would differ depending on what position you're looking at.
Yeah.
Labor, I totally agree with you. You're coming in just straight labor. But if I'm running any business, farm operations, Marty runs a farm. He's hiring somebody just to start at the beginning and go out and do stuff that he's going to show me. He's probably not going to have a lot. But if he's looking to hire a farm manager to come in, he needs somebody that knows what he's going to do. If Marty's actually going to say, hey, I'm going to travel some this year. I want this guy to run my farm. That guy is totally different than this guy.
Well, I totally agree, because I hired journeyman's and master electricians, so I totally understand what you're saying,
And that's, I think, what we're saying about, I'll just speak on the sheriff's office end. A deputy that goes to the academy for a year, and it's basically a year and a half before you put him on the road. There's a large amount of education to get you up to that level. Our profession becomes better the more you do it. The more times I deal with a mentally ill person, the better I am at it. The more robberies I work, the more burglaries I work, the more traffic accidents. That's why it's all about years of service in policing. So when you get that deputy that's got 10 years of experience, that's not a labor. And you're correct. And the private sector, that would be considered the guy that's going to run the bank for you, or the guy that's going to run the farm, even though he is still low man on the totem pole as far as the deputy. But we're a big organization. He's not the one that's just bringing in certain papers. He's not the one that's just doing animal control or just doing court security. They're all valuable, but those aren't the positions we're talking about. We're just talking about the road.
Gotcha.
And I'm gonna bring up something too. Eric, would this help the jail, something like this?
We can start at $15 an hour. It ain't gonna help us pay a good bit.
This here wouldn't help y'all? Okay. Just,
All right, so we got a motion and a second, we've had some discussion, any other questions, discussions? Concerns?
I just got word from 2 of our 3 full-time employees, and they said they're fine with it. They'd rather have the good hand than somebody we don't know and we could possibly lose. So take that for
Do you follow what he's saying, Myron?
I'm trying to,
He said 2 of their 3 full-time firefighters have said it doesn't bother them if somebody comes in with enough experience to start a crew and leave more at a rate higher than them.
okay, I get that. Pardon me, I'm looking at all the county employees rather than just 2 sectors. I'm sorry, that's kind of where I'm focused right now, is trying to be
Well, again, the focus
fair and equitable with
on the
everybody.
hazardous duty was because those are the 2 that you've got length of training times that you have to go do before you can actually start to work.
So, what are we putting in here?
And I can bring this back, if we want to bring it back to the next meeting and reword it, but just trying to run it through my head, we'll reword it some way to where it says that the employment requirement would be with the exception of being retired from the same job duty or description for 12 months or less.
Okay, do we need to just wait until the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll just reword it and
Okay.
we can put it in there and do it.
Let's do that.
And that would be by ordinance.
And it would be by ordinance. So let's go ahead. We have a motion and a second. Let's make a motion to approve this with the changes, and then the changes will be brought before you in the next meeting in the form of an ordinance, because we have to do the administrative code changes by ordinance anyway.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to restate it for me for this motion?
Yes, we have a motion and a second to approve admin code changes to the accrued leave policy. And then we'll have the changes spelled out with the request that we have on the retirement.
So
That'll
we're
be
not
spelled out into
voting
it, so
for
you
it.
look at it at the next meeting before we have the
vote.
first reading on the ordinance.
Okay.
So all we're doing today is voting to make these, to pursue these changes.
Okay, and I
Gotcha.
have Chandler and Barnes.
Yes. So all in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Now, and then we'll go back to this next resolution we're doing. It kind of talks to the point here. If y'all recall, we put on a few not part-time, temporary employees, and they really were temporary through December 31st, but as y'all are well aware, we still have one firefighter that is off from injuries and not really certain at this moment when he'll be able to return. Plus, it's looking like that it may be some time before we get the pieces to do the around the clock. So the chief just asked, could we at least approve these employees to continue their temporary service through May 31 of 2024, and it would be employee resolution number 2024-01-16. What?
1-8.
Oh, that's right, today is 1/8, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
We hadn't changed it.
Resolution number 2024-01-18 EMP-FSFR, and that it would be to place Justin McMillan, Alan Mulkey, Richard Sam Hill, Charles Devin Moore, and Matt King as temporary firefighters with the same rate of pay they were getting before, and that would run effectively January 1. Since it ended, we need to retro back to January 1 through May 31st, and the reason he requested the May 31st date is it may be mid-May at best before any new firefighters get through all their training.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, a cash transfer of $10,907.88 from the federal grant fund to the general fund. I need a motion and a second to approve that transfer.
So moved, Mason.
Got a motion by Jeffrey, a second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, budget transfers. Need a motion and a second to approve the budget transfers as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, next, bills and claims. We need a motion and a second to approve the bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Marty. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then finally, the December 31, 2023 financial statement. We need a motion and a second to approve the financial statement subject to audit and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Got a motion by
Second.
Myron, second by Jeffrey.
That was Marty.
Oh, Marty, yeah, motion by Marty, I'm sorry.
I was thinking it, I just would say.
Okay, motion, that's right. Motion was Marty, second was Jeffrey. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. So reports real quick, y'all know we done the employee survey and I'm sitting down scheduling with department heads to kind of get some feedback department by department. Once I get all of them, I'm going to compile it in like a typed out list for all of y'all to see, and we'll note the things that are dissimilar in all departments so we can, because I think my thoughts are we could kind of focus on the things that are similar in all departments before we start working on things individual to departments. But at any rate, I'll get that all together for you. Back to the conversation we had earlier, and I said I'd address this then. You know, we were going to have a joint meeting with the city Tuesday. Obviously, we didn't meet Tuesday either. The weather was bad. We had several things we needed to discuss, but the only thing the city really wanted to discuss was that comp plan. But these other issues, Myron, as you're talking about, we need to discuss. We desperately need to discuss because the city, as y'all are well aware, they sent out a 10-page letter with a lot of information that's not correct. So the mayor and I talked last Wednesday after the industrial board meeting, and the agreement we had, and Carter, this is important to you, the agreement that we made, the mayor and I, was that there would be no more changes to any planning and zoning regs or the industrial authority agreements until we were able to have a meeting to discuss the issues in those areas. So I'm hoping that the city will hold to that side, but that was the discussion we had. So we need to get some of this straightened out. We need it, because we do too many things together not to be pulling all in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Myron, you have anything?
I'd just like to thank our Public Works for the snow removal,
Absolutely.
and also our Sheriff's Department for any assistance they had to do with motors, and also a special thanks to Bruce Akins that helped grade some of our county roads out in the South District.
I also hear that Myron Thurman and Marty Chandler graded some roads.
Bad.
Well, I didn't because I had surgery last Thursday, so I wasn't able to get out, but
It looked like your tractor.
my younger brother was out grading roads. I would have been there if I'd have been able to. I don't really mind doing that, really.
Well, I don't have a tractor, but you know,
Well,
I got a shovel.
I got a tractor, but if I got mine out, somebody'd have to bring a bigger one to pull me out of the ditch.
But I do appreciate everybody that was out, especially our Public Works. I don't know that they wouldn't disagree that they wouldn't hazardous duty on some of this stuff.
Well, I will tell you, I told y'all we had the meeting, Jonathan Shell, the new ag commissioner, was in Warren County last night, and I was there. And there were several people from other counties that had to come through Simpson, like from Tennessee. There was people from Robertson County, different areas. But at any rate, there were people there commenting last night how the roads in Simpson County look better than they did in adjoining counties. And I can tell you, I had to be in Allen County yesterday. Whew, we're doing a good job here.
I hear that all the time. I work with people that come from other counties, and they all say we do an excellent job.
All right, Jeffrey?
Everybody be safe today for the snow, ice, whatever's going to be today. So
let's hope it don't
hope
happen.
it misses.
Yeah.
So,
Couple things. The only complaint I heard on the snow removal was on the state, because on 622, Warren County came to the state line, the State Department did, or came to the county line. As soon as you got to Simpson County, the State Department in Simpson County hadn't done nothing up through there, so there's some people that complained about that. And adding to what you said, I was very disappointed that, I know we had to cancel that meeting because of weather, but for the city to say that they didn't have anything to talk about when we were supposed to be talking about how to advance the fire department and how to make it, I think those reports saying it's full-time now is kind of misleading because it's only half full-time. It's only half staffed where it needs to be. I was very disappointed in that they didn't think we even had anything to talk about on that at a meeting. But I was wanting to, I hope we have that sooner than later, because if we're gonna put that on the ballot, the time to get it on there is we're running out of time, and the further we kick it down the road, if we do it to wait till March, then it's gonna be next year impossible to get it on the ballot this year, then you gotta wait till next year, so it's not doing what we said we were gonna do. We said we were gonna talk about it at the next meeting, and then that didn't happen, so hopefully we can get it in gear and get a true full-time fire department that's fully staffed the way it needs to be instead of half-staffed.
All right. I know we don't have anything from the counselor. He's in district court. Sheriff, you have anything?
Quickly, sir. Well, they've been talking about the vortex coming in the garage, and we've got this cold weather. Citizens have been awfully good about pretty well staying off the road. We haven't had a whole lot of trouble. People have been good about getting out there, clear the road, and doing all that. Everybody's working well. Mr. Berger hit on a big comment. That's the only reason I came up. It's supposed to turn to ice rain this afternoon. And ice is not good. That changes your entire environment. So I would encourage people that have clear roads right now, if you need to get
Stuff, get out and get them while we got the weather we do today, even though it's cold, and then get back home and stay home.
Get your milk and bread and hurry up.
Ice will make the road look like it's still clear, but you will be all over it, and that's when the wrecks and stuff start occurring. So that's all
I thought we had climate change and it was warming up. I didn't know we were getting colder the other way.
Some vortex.
Yeah, vortex.
Mr. County Clerk, do you have anything? Mr. Jailer, do you have anything? Bob, anything with emergency management?
One thing real quick. I had two things, but the sheriff stole most of my thunder. I've put it out on social media. A lot of people know that I kind of have a fledgling group of a team that helps with things going on in the square and parking cars and different things. It's called CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. This team was part of an initiative that started clear back after 9/11, and there's a long story behind it. But the main reason I'm up here is I've got a class starting February 1st. It takes about 30 hours. This class covers everything from fire safety, fire preparedness. There's a couple of first aid units in there that teach how to triage people and bandage and move them if you need to. It talks about the some of the injuries that we've seen in this storm are people that are shoveling the roofs, snow off the roofs, and a gentleman down in Tennessee fell through a skylight. Different things that you can do to prepare for disaster preparedness, stuff like that. This is about a 30-hour class. It's on Thursday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. At the end of it, you get a nice little certificate in there. Doesn't cost anything except some time. But what it really does is help people, families, to prepare to be able to withstand what we've just been through and help their neighbors if something happens. So I just wanted to throw that out there for the people who may watch this. And if you talk to anybody that is looking for some kind of, where can I get training on how to be prepared better?
Where will you have this, Bob?
It's going to be at the Blewett Bradley Building, Thursday nights, starting February 1st. And anybody that wants to, I'd like to have people pre-register for it. They can contact me, or you can go on our social media page and hit the link. But it's probably the best training. I think, you'd have to ask, Nelson's had it years ago. A number of our current firefighters started out going through that training and everything. It's probably the best training that I can provide for people to learn how to take care of themselves before the rest of us can get there during a disaster. So I just wanted to put that out there. And if you talk to anybody that is asking about stuff like that, and it doesn't cost anything, just a little time.
Thanks, Bob. Bill, anything with Nelson, anything with the fire department? Carter, anything from planning and zoning we should be aware of? Got a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty? Second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye? Any opposed?